Oregon is a land where mist clings to ancient forests, where ghost towns rot quietly in the mountains, and where rivers carry whispers older than memory. It's a place of pioneers and tragedies, of restless spirits who never made it west of the mountains, and of abandoned places where silence feels heavier than stone. Tonight, we'll descend into Oregon's haunted history, 10 locations where time has fractured, and where those who once lived refuse to let go. Keep the lights on if you dare, because these stories aren't just history, they're warnings. 1. Ghost town of Shaniko, Wasco County, Oregon. In the high desert of central Oregon lies Shaniko, once a bustling wool capital in the early 1900s. Now a ghost town where wind whistles through broken windows and dust settles on abandoned storefronts. Time seems frozen here, but not silent. Locals and visitors alike whisper that Shaniko has never truly emptied, that its former residents still walk its streets long after death. The old Shaniko Hotel looms over the town like a sentinel. Once elegant, it now stands shuttered, its halls said to echo with footsteps no one can trace. Doors creak open in the night, lights flicker in rooms without electricity, and voices murmur softly as though guests from a century ago are still checking in. Some claim to have seen a woman in Victorian dress peering from the upstairs windows, vanishing when approached. The surrounding buildings only deepen the unease. The schoolhouse is said to harbor phantom laughter, faint yet sharp, as if the children never stopped reciting lessons. In the jail, shadows move where no light can reach, and heavy bangs reverberate against the iron bars, startling those who dare to linger. At sunset, Shaniko is unsettling enough. But under the cover of night, with only the desert wind to keep you company, the ghost town becomes something more, a stage where the past insists on performing again and again. Would you stand in the middle of that empty street, knowing you might not be the only one watching? It's in Heceta Head Lighthouse, Florence, Oregon. Along the rugged Oregon coast, waves crash violently against cliffs, and fog rolls in thick enough to swallow entire ships. Rising above it all is Heceta Head Lighthouse, one of the most picturesque beacons in the Northwest. But beauty often hides something darker. For more than a century, this lighthouse has been home to a ghost known only as the Gray Lady. Legend says she was the wife of a keeper who lost her child near the cliffs. Stricken with grief, she died within the keeper's house and never left. Guests who stay in the former keeper's quarters tell of cold spots drifting through rooms, of objects moving as if touched by unseen hand, and of soft sobbing echoing in the dead of night. Caretakers have witnessed the Gray Lady themselves, a woman in a long dress, her face pale and sorrowful, standing at windows or drifting through hallways. She never speaks, but her presence is heavy, a mixture of sadness and longing that settles over the house like the ocean fog. The lighthouse still guides ships safely along the dangerous coastline, but inside, it's the Gray Lady who lingers, searching endlessly for what she lost, reminding visitors that not all tragedies can be healed by time. 3. Pittock Mansion, Portland, Oregon. High above Portland, nestled in the West Hills, sits the Grand Pittock Mansion. Built in 1914 by Henry Pittock, a wealthy newspaper publisher, the mansion was a symbol of prosperity and triumph. But grandeur does not protect against death. Henry and his wife passed away not long after the house was completed, leaving their dream home echoing with absence. Today, the mansion stands as a museum, open to curious visitors. Yet those who walk its halls often find themselves part of something stranger than a tour. Staff have reported the scent of roses appearing suddenly in empty rooms believed to be the lingering presence of Georgiana Pittock, who adored her gardens. Windows open and close without explanation, and visitors sometimes hear footsteps echoing across marble floors when no one is near. Most unsettling are the apparitions. Several guests have described seeing a man, tall and stern, staring from the stairwell before vanishing. Others have caught fleeting glimpses of faces in mirrors, faces that don't belong to them. At night, the mansion seems alive, its silence punctuated by creaks and whispers as though it resents being disturbed. The view from Pittock Mansion is breathtaking, overlooking Portland's skyline. But when you're alone inside, gazing out those wide windows, you may wonder, is someone behind you, watching too? 4. McMenamins Edgefield, Troutdale, Oregon. What was once a poor farm for the destitute and mentally ill in the early 1900s has now become one of Oregon's most famous hotels, McMenamins Edgefield. But beneath the paint and charm of its restored walls lies a history steeped in suffering. For decades, the poor farm housed societies forgotten, forcing them to work the land in exchange for shelter. Many died here, their graves unmarked, their stories lost. Guests who stay at the Edgefield often find that the past lingers far longer than the renovations. Hallways feel unusually cold, even in summer. Staff whisper of a woman in white who drifts silently across the second floor, her face blurred, her form dissolving before the eyes can fully comprehend her. Others hear the sound of children laughing in rooms that have no guests faint, high-pitched giggles that vanish when the doors are opened. The basement is perhaps the most unnerving. It was once a morgue, where bodies were stored before burial. Today, visitors stepping inside report an immediate sense of dread, as though unseen eyes are watching from every corner. Lights flicker, shadows stretch unnaturally, and electronic devices often fail. Despite its vibrant music and lively atmosphere, Edgefield cannot disguise its past. And sometimes, the past pushes back, reminding everyone who walks through its doors that joy and suffering often inhabit the same walls. 5. Wolf Creek Inn, Wolf Creek, Oregon. Along the old Applegate Trail sits the Wolf Creek Inn, built in 1883 as a rest stop for weary travelers. At first glance, it looks charming, a rustic lodge tucked into the hills. But inside, the past clings like a chill you can't shake. The inn has been in continuous operation for more than a century. And with such a long history, not all of its guests have checked out. Paranormal investigators describe Wolf Creek Inn as one of the most active sites in Oregon. Apparitions of miners, pioneers, and travelers have been spotted wandering its creaking halls. One spirit, believed to be a stagecoach driver, has been seen staring out a second-story window, his gaze fixed on the road as if still waiting for passengers who will never arrive. Guests report waking to the sound of footsteps outside their doors, or feeling the mattress sink as though someone invisible has sat at the edge of the bed. Cold drafts sweep through locked rooms and objects move on their own. A rocking chair swaying gently with no one near it. The inn's most famous guest, writer Jack London, once stayed here. Some even claim his restless spirit lingers, still roaming the halls. Whether it's travelers lost to the trail or writers lost in their own ghosts. Wolf Creek Inn remains a place where the past refuses to stay buried. 6. Battery Russell, Fort Stevens, Oregon. On the northern coast of Oregon lies Fort Stevens, a Civil War-era military installation. Within it, Battery Russell stands a decaying concrete bunker buried in sand and silence. It was the only mainland military site in the continental U.S. to be attacked by enemy fire during World War II, when a Japanese submarine shelled the coastline in 1942. No lives were lost in that attack. But Battery Russell has seen its share of death. The air inside is damp, metallic, carrying the stench of rust and salt. Visitors describe hearing phantom footsteps pacing the narrow corridors, boots striking in steady rhythm as though patrols never ended. Disembodied voices whisper commands in the darkness, and cold hands have been felt brushing across arms or shoulders. One frequent report is the figure of a soldier, still clad in uniform, patrolling the bunker's edge. He appears suddenly, only to fade back into the fog. Others claim the sound of a heavy steel door slamming shut has startled them, even though the doors haven't worked in decades. At night, the fort becomes a labyrinth of shadows, and the silence hums with tension. It's as if Battery Russell has absorbed the fear of every man who stood watch here, waiting for an attack that might never come but still expecting death to arrive with the tide. 7. Oregon State Hospital, Salem, Oregon. The Oregon State Hospital is no stranger to darkness. Built in the late 1800s as the Oregon State Insane Asylum, it once housed thousands of patients, many of them abandoned by families, forgotten by society, and left to waste away behind locked doors. The hospital gained notoriety when it served as the filming location for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but the horrors committed here were real long before Hollywood came. Rows of decaying wards echo with the past electric shock therapy, hydrotherapy tubs, and countless unmarked burials. In 2004, thousands of cremated remains were discovered in corroding copper canisters, lined up in the hospital's underground storage, silent testimony to how many never left. Those who walk the grounds at night speak of whispers carried on the wind, or shadows moving between the trees. Inside, visitors claim to feel sudden cold sweeps, as if someone rushed past them. Apparitions of former patients appear in hallways, gaunt, vacant-eyed, staring as if still waiting for their names to be called. Even during daylight, the silence is oppressive. You feel watched, judged, measured. It's as though the building itself remembers every scream, every desperate plea, every soul broken within its walls. The Oregon State Hospital isn't just haunted, it's heavy with grief, and you can feel it pressing down on you the moment you step inside. 8. Oregon Vortex and House of Mystery, Gold Hill, Oregon. On a lonely stretch of forest outside Gold Hill lies a place that refuses to obey the laws of nature. The Oregon Vortex is a roadside attraction to some, a paranormal anomaly to others, a location where gravity bends, compasses spin, and people shrink or grow depending on where they stand. But behind the playful demonstrations lies something darker. Long before white settlers arrived, native tribes warned of this land, calling it forbidden. They believed the area was cursed, a place where spirits walked sideways and where nature itself resisted balance. To this day, animals shy away from the property, refusing to cross the invisible boundary. Inside the House of Mystery, visitors often report dizziness, nausea, or a strange buzzing in their ears as though unseen voices are pressing against their skull. Photographs blur mysteriously, capturing streaks of light that shouldn't exist. Some claim they've seen figures watching from the tree line, their forms indistinct, as if they were never fully part of this world. The Oregon Vortex isn't haunted by a single ghost. It's as if the land itself is haunted, cursed by forces we can't measure. Step too far inside, and you may not walk out quite the same. 9. Hot Lake Hotel La Grande, Oregon. They called it the Mayo Clinic of the West. Built in the early 1900s, the Hot Lake Hotel was once a lavish resort and medical facility, drawing thousands to its steaming mineral springs. But history has a cruel sense of irony. Fires, tragedies, and countless deaths within its walls transformed the spa into a monument of despair. The building, massive and decaying, looms against the backdrop of empty hills. Its windows seem to watch. And when the wind blows across the plains, the old structure groans like it remembers. Guests and caretakers alike have reported piano music drifting through the halls, even though the piano was abandoned decades ago. Doors slam violently in rooms no one has entered, and shadows gather in corners where no light can penetrate. Most chilling are the stories of the children. Visitors have seen small figures darting down the hallways, giggling in voices too faint to be real. Others speak of patients who never left, their faces pale and anguished, appearing in mirrors for just a breath before vanishing. The springs still bubble, but the warmth doesn't comfort. It's as if the water has absorbed every cry, every fevered breath, every soul that suffered here. The Hot Lake Hotel isn't just haunted, it feels like the building itself is alive, and it remembers you. 10. Shanghai Tunnels, Portland, Oregon. Beneath Portland's bustling streets, an underworld of damp tunnels stretches in darkness, where brick walls drip with condensation, and the air tastes faintly of salt and mold. These are the infamous Shanghai Tunnels, once used to traffic unsuspecting men and women into slavery aboard ships bound for distant ports. Locals whisper of trapdoors hidden in tavern floors, where drunken patrons were dropped into blackness and dragged away before they could even scream. Their cries, some say, still echo through the underground. Visitors have reported hearing chains dragging across stone when no one is there, or feeling unseen hands brush against their shoulders in the suffocating dark. The tunnels are more than just a relic of Portland's shadowy past. Guides claim that cold spots move like predators, circling those who dare venture too deep. Some witnesses swear they've seen figures stumbling in the half-light, gaunt, terrified, as though they never escaped their fate. Would you follow those steps into silence, knowing that many who went down never came back? The Shanghai Tunnels are a reminder that not all ghosts haunt houses. Some are trapped beneath the city itself, waiting for the next lost soul. When the mist of Oregon's forests thickens, when the wind howls across the empty streets of its ghost towns, and when shadows gather where no light dares to follow, remember this: not all stories end when the sun goes down. The spirits of Oregon are still walking in tunnels beneath the city, in lighthouses perched on cliffs, and in towns long abandoned. If tonight's journey unsettled you, then know this: there are darker secrets still waiting in the corners of America's haunted history. And sooner or later, we'll return to uncover them. Sleep well if you can. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this chilling journey, don't forget to like, comment with your favorite haunted location, and subscribe for more weekly videos from the shadows.